Some people object to a single-payer system, saying that it would be too unwieldy and that each individual state should administer their own policy. Any thoughts about state-run programs, and should the policy for them be written by the federal government so that protections are in place to provide certain standard of care? Or should a single-payer program be run like Medicare, as the group Physicians for a National Health Program recommends? JL?
Well, I believe a standard of care should be from across the board, and the states can meet or exceed the standard of care. And
So you think that it should be state-run?
well, yes, but there is a standard they must meet. None of those drilling the extra teeth or cutting off the extra feet type things that people seem to be talking about. It's a standard. They need to meet that standard. If they violate the standard, they can be fined because they do have a contract with the other states and with the federal government. In fact, that's what created the federal government.
So you're not for the single-payer system,
No,
but you are for Medicare being administered and a program like the ACA, similar to ACA, being administered state by state?
well, Medicare, Medicaid, they exist. They need to stay as they are. In fact, throw a few extra bucks in for retirement when that comes along, but that's not connected directly. But there does need to be a standard of care all the way across the board. But no single-payer system for the general population, because most 18 to 30-year-olds don't need to have health insurance. They break an arm or a leg, they end up taking care of it. They make payments, cost less than paying for insurance, and they're not wasting the money in the meantime. And some big insurance company is not making their their profits from those people.
Okay, Santa?
I would like to see it administered in a similar way Medicaid is administered. Different states will have different ideas about it, of course, but I think if the Medicaid system works as well as it does with such low overhead, it could be expanded in different ways.
Are you talking Medicaid or Medicare? Because
I say Medicare.
Okay, because Medicaid is very different from Medicare.
Okay,
I just want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think Medicare should be expanded to include younger people?
I think it should, yes. I mean, you're familiar with some of these circumstances that younger people face, and they're having a pretty difficult time. Their parents are having a difficult time. And I think the system works pretty well, and I think it's funded inadequately, but for the time being, it's a good starting point. And I think it's already proven itself over decades, and I would like to see that continue and expanded and keeping the self-payer element.
Okay, Harry?
Well, I would just say that I would advise the majority of citizens to make that decision themselves, whether it should be centrally based out of Washington or whether it should be state-based. But I would personally advise them to have a national standard as the standard of care for all American citizens, in the same way I would have the federal government responsible for education and standards of education, so that you don't let each school district or each state decide what's worth knowing. I have more faith in the national system than the state systems based on my experience with doing business with both. But I would be more than happy to let the majority of citizens make that final determination as to where that split is. What I think is important is that the health care and the educational systems operate on a non-profit basis so that you don't have money involved in that part of our economy. And then when you get the money and fraud out of it, the costs are going to come way down.